visions collide. Welcome to Glam Chemist. Today we are chatting with Roselin Rosario-Meléndez. She is a chemist, a patent specialist, and an entrepreneur, and an inspiring Latina in STEM. I had a great time chatting with her, and I hope you guys enjoy this conversation as much as I did.
My name is Roselin Rosario-Meléndez. I am a polymer chemist by training. I am a Latina from Puerto Rico. I was born and raised there, and went to school throughout my everything from like pre-K to undergrad in Puerto Rico, and I have a career mainly in the cosmetic space as a chemist, and I'm currently working as a independent consultant, helping companies, entrepreneurs with their innovation journeys.
Can you tell us a little bit about what drew you to chemistry and how it all began for you?
I liked chemistry in high school. So from all of the, I guess, science classes that I took in high school, I like chemistry the best. I really didn't know anything about like research or being a scientist or none of anything like that. But then because I was good student overall, but good in math, science, the kind of counselor in high school was like, oh, you should consider studying medicine. That was kind of like, if you're good at that, you study medicine. And it wasn't like a great thing for me because especially like dealing with blood and things like that, I'm like, maybe not. So I said, okay, being a dentist is kind of like, within the, medical field. And in order to be a dentist, I needed a undergraduate, a bachelor's degree in science. So, I like chemistry, so let me study chemistry in undergrad so I can get that degree and then go and become a dentist. That was kind of like the original thought. But then when I started studying chemistry and in undergrad, I started doing learn what is it to do research, and I started doing research. Then I was like, okay, change of plans. Maybe I'll go into this other route.
And how did you get into like polymer science? Was that part of your initial research?
No, so initially, like in undergrad, pretty much all of my research experiences were in more biology. So my first internship opportunity was at Texas A&M University in their veterinary medicines, department. It wasn't really like vet medicine. It was like research within that department, and I was doing like cell work, just growing cells and trying to study different like kind of genetics and stuff like that. The lab did have some animal testing work, and I was like, no, not for me. I didn't want to have to handle like mice or rats or anything like that. Then my second research opportunity was at a pharmaceutical company in their cardiovascular diseases research, also like growing cells and doing some method optimization. So I really didn't have experience like doing chemistry research in undergrad, although I was a chemistry major. But then for my PhD, I really wanted to continue in like chemistry. Initially, I wanted to do like synthetic chemistry, again, because that's kind of what I knew from undergrad. Like, you study chemistry, you become like a synthetic chemist, especially if you wanted to go into industry. But then when I got to grad school and started learning more about like the different research, fields and topics that there are. So I ended up joining a research lab that was focused on polymer chemistry. And it was like still had aspects of the synthetic chemistry that I wanted to do. And it was synthesizing polymers for different applications, but the ones that I was working on was for controlled drug delivery applications. So trying to designing these new polymers, going to the lab, synthesizing them. Of course, it's not like a linear process. It's like you plan a synthesis and it doesn't work, and then you go back to the drawing board. You make the polymer and then test it to see how it releases the drug very slowly. So then the idea was like, a patient that needs a certain medication don't have to take it very often because the polymer will extend the release and the duration of the medication in the body. And it really taught me a lot about polymers. And to me, polymers are beautiful materials because they're so versatile. There's so many different properties and things that you can achieve with other materials. And also like each polymer is, even if you change a little bit on the structure, you change the properties. So there's so much that you can do. And they're very applicable to real life. Like, I was doing these drug delivery, but if we look at things that surround us on a daily basis, a lot of the stuff around us or things that we use are made out of polymers. So it's a very broad field that I love, just like being able to apply it in different applications.
So how were you able to use your polymer science application that you'd done in your graduate program to then pursue cosmetic science?
Yeah, so as you know, a lot of the ingredients that go into like cosmetic products are polymers, like a very large amount of the material. So having that background in, polymer chemistry, in kind of like material science, understanding properties, how the materials behave, what you can do with them. Also, I had a lot of exposure to innovation and invention in graduate school. So that part was also like it's like the innovation part, the polymer science, chemistry part, and also that I love, cosmetics. I always loved different types of products, especially like nail polish. I loved, and if we think about it, it's all polymer chemistry that is happening in your nails. And then I started working on color cosmetics, like long wear, extreme wear makeup, and the way that you achieve those properties is through the use of polymers. So it was kind of like a great fit of using that background and, that foundational knowledge just in a different application.
How did you find yourself even finding out about cosmetic science and falling in love with it?
Yeah, so that's a great question because like initially I was like, I did my undergrad research in a pharmaceutical company. I fell in love with that. I was like, that's what I'm going to do, right? After my PhD, that was my vision. And, my research was very biomedical, like, pharma related. But throughout my graduate, work, my research advisor had a lot of collaborations with other universities and with industry. And so she collaborated with some cosmetic companies. And I was like, oh, I started kind of getting a sense of, yeah, there are chemists working in these products. So I kind of learned about that. Plus, I always remember like reading an article that talked about, UV gel nail polish. And they were talking about like the science behind like how like scientists had created this, blend of monomers that then had the photo initiator in it and master how to create these very long lasting, nail polish through polymerization. So I was like, oh my God, that's like exactly, what I'm doing in the lab, polymerizing stuff. But, like everything kind of clicked. And so I loved that. And then I said, oh, that's another possibility. And then on top of that, when I was getting ready to finish my PhD, do my dissertation defense, the pharmaceutical company was not in a really great place. Like people that I had met when I was doing my internship had gotten laid off around that same time. So I said, okay, the chances are lower of getting hired in that specific industry. Maybe I'll go into like the pharmaceutical, the cosmetic industry or something related. And that's how I got my first job. Actually, instead of going directly into a cosmetic company that makes, final products for consumers, I worked for an ingredient supplier company that was making polymers for different industrial applications, but mainly like home care and personal care applications. I will still do kind of a little bit of like lab, like some of like the lab design and choosing materials and all of that, but then all of the work was very customer focused. So we will have like the client, the customer that will buy the ingredients, and we'll work with them. So working also very closely with business development, working very closely with sales. It was like, it has like that type of hybrid role when you have to like talk to your counterpart, the client, and make sure that they understood, they wanted to actually get and purchase the materials that you were making. So I actually enjoyed it a lot. It was like a very different experience, and it helped me kind of get a little bit more foundation on like the business side of science, because to me it's like very important to know, especially to work on in stuff that has real life application, is to like learn like that other side as well, not just being in the lab like synthesizing or mixing stuff.
I totally get that. I think it's finding the balance is where you find yourself enjoying the process and doing more innovative and exciting things. Is that your first experience in formulation as well, when you were working with them tailoring different products, or had you already been kind of dabbling in formulation?
No, that was my first experience. Yeah, like in graduate school, we called it formulations, but they were not like, they were more simplistic formulations, and they were geared towards the pharma world. So then that's when I actually got my first kind of set of experience, like doing some formulations for like mainly like shampoos, hair conditioners, fabric softeners, laundry detergents. That's like when I really first started doing some formulation work.
And then I see that you were part of inventing and contributing to 53 global patents. How do you find yourself doing that kind of work? And tell me how rewarding it can be to see that, all of this research is finally getting some sort of accolades. I don't know many people who have, had approved patents. So the fact that you have 53 is exceptional. Can you tell us a little bit about how you even got involved and the whole process?
Oh yeah, of course, absolutely. So I I think I was super fortunate to be in a graduate research lab that was very untraditional. Like my advisor was, especially at the time, like 13 years ago, um, she wasn't focused just on the academic part of research, but beyond that. And that's where I learned, like, I was making these polymers that had never been made before. And part of my training was, okay, let's aim to patent protect these polymers, because eventually if they can become a commercial product, so we want to of course have that protection for at least 20 years if we get a patent. So and part of it was really up to the students how much involvement they wanted to have in patents and all of that. I love learning, even if I ended up saying, okay, I learned it, but I don't like it, right? But I, kind of try to immerse myself. I put a lot of time trying to understand what are patents, how are they built, and I work with the patent attorneys to give them the information and see it. I review every single draft, and that's how I really got that involvement in firsthand knowledge on how to protect innovation. So I did that in grad school for a few of the projects that I worked on. And then once that I was working in corporate, as I was, in the lab making formulations, I was like, oh, this is definitely different than anything else that is already in the market or has been published. So I started also working directly with the legal team, the patent teams within those companies to make sure, because again, like, it's a lot of time and money that the companies investing into creating these products. So why not make sure that they are protected? So it's very rewarding, because as a scientist, as an inventor, to see like, yeah, I came up with this idea and it has never been done before. It's just like the ability, it's a recognition of your ability to think outside of the box. And that's something I've been doing, throughout my career. And now that I work as a consultant, I also do that and help my clients through that process. So like I said, I spend so much time getting into the weeds of patents. And I also build like a system on how to like identify a patent and communicate it to a patent attorney, because that's also like learning a new language. So I help my clients building that package of information that they can take to a patent attorney and say, okay, help me now with the patent process, like submitting the application. And that also is very rewarding, although I'm not the inventor in those, patents, but being able to help a client that doesn't have the experience go through that process, it just fulfills me. It's just like, I guess, giving back into that, what I have learned, for all these years.
Yeah, it sounds like everything you did prepared you for what you ended up doing later on in your
Exactly.
career, which is
Yes.
really amazing, which is kind of what we work towards. You hope that in your graduate program, you're acquiring all the skills you need to have a prosperous career. So this makes us pivot really nicely into your consulting business. How did you decide to start it? Tell us a little bit about all of that process.
Yeah, so kind of having my own business or doing something on my own, that's something that I was thinking for a little while, but I didn't know how it was going to work. I really don't know many like science consultants that, especially in the space that I'm in. And like really, although I had like general understanding of business, right, but never run a business myself. So it was kind of like, do I continue to think about it and and just working as I was working before, or say, hey, let me just go ahead and try it. I think it got to the point where I really wanted to try something new. So my last job also, I was kind of working as an internal consultant. So my last job was actually outside of cosmetics. I was working in a small medical device company. So it was very similar or closer to what I was doing in grad school. So I worked there for 3.5 years, but for at least, well, most of the time that I was there, I was kind of the internal consultant. And I had to, every time there was something new that needed to be done or a problem to be fixed, I had to go in, very quickly learn what the background, the foundation part, and then find solutions for, those problems or, those situations. So I was like, oh, I'm kind of doing the job of a consultant, right? Like when you bring someone in with the expertise and solve the issues and all of that. So it's like, maybe that also gave me like confidence that I could do this on my own. So I said, okay, I need to make a decision. So I said 2025 will be the year, because if not, I was just going to continue like putting it up, right?
Yeah.
And I started the process of building my business. I started it officially. So I started the process in January, officially like in April. And it's been now like around 6 months of like working full time, as a consultant. And it's been a great experience. I've had amazing clients. I love the projects that I work on. It's just like every time it's like something very different that I still use my expertise, but many times I still have to do research and try to find information to answer those questions and solve the problems. So it's very rewarding. It's just like an evolution of my career from, being that individual contributor in the lab all the way to like just using the expertise to guide others.
And then what kind of projects do you work on now? Is it exclusively cosmetic science, or is it more like consulting for patents, or is it a little bit of everything?
So it's kind of like a little bit of everything, but mainly my work is on the like on helping clients with their, I guess, ideas around like the materials, ingredients, formulation. So I don't do lab work. Like that's not a service that I provide today. It's more of like, a client wants to do a product, I don't know, let's say a shampoo that does X, Y, and Z. So I help them say, these might be like the ingredients that you should be looking into, trying to do something different, right? So if a person just wants to copy something like very similar to something existing, that's really not my role, right? It's for people that really want more like innovation type of work. So I help them through that process of understanding which ingredients they should be looking into to incorporate into their product, that have like having that background of understanding how materials work. I can tell you that, yeah, this has a high chance of working the way that you want. Or clients that have a formulation, it's like, hey, it's not really working the way that I want. How do I optimize it? So I'll do a review of everything and say, okay, maybe you should remove this ingredient, it's causing you problems, or it's not doing anything, add this other thing. And for the clients that have these very innovative ideas, I help them with the innovation package, like just putting everything together so they can file a patent application. And I do this for mainly cosmetics. Like most of the work that I've been doing is been in like personal care cosmetics, but I also had a few projects on drug delivery, like very similar to what I was doing in my Ph.D. in medical devices.
Oh, wow. So you've been able to do a little bit of everything as an
Yeah.
independent consultant, which is amazing because it comes from you now. I would love to know what your approach is to innovative products. Like in the industry of, I only know cosmetic science, I know textures are a big thing, or just delivery systems and consumer experiences that might be new. How do you approach newness that way?
Yeah, so that's very interesting. So it's kind of like working with the client's vision. What is it that they want? And then finding the right ingredients that would do that specific or have the specific properties, texture, or like final properties of the product, but also being open-minded. Many times, I think like within the, at least my experience in the cosmetic industry is that there are these kind of like unspoken guidelines where you have to do certain things. And I
Mhm.
think the innovation comes from when you like, okay, maybe, you have, let me just jump away. Like you have this box, right, where everyone is kind of in. What if I step outside of that box? Can I find something, completely different? Can I find something that does something that is better performed? Because for me, it's like performance is very important. Like
Yeah.
how can something be better performing? And like throughout my career, I always done that. Like, let me think outside of the box. Yeah, like sometimes, and I've had examples like from when I was working in corporate where people, oh, don't use that ingredient because it's not gonna work in the formulation. And use it, and guess what? It actually worked. So sometimes it's like um, not getting or letting those preconceived notions to guide where you're going. And yeah, like learning. Like I have learned so much. It's like okay, and from experience, I say I know things that for sure is not gonna work. Like there's no waste time in working on that. But then there are so many other opportunities when you think outside of the box and say, okay, it may not work, but I may learn something new. I may learn something or guide me in a different direction that will take me where I want to go.
In the form you said, don't wait for permission to lead or innovate. When did you establish that motto for yourself? I mean, it sounds like you've done it all the time, but when did you decide that, like, my approach is that I'm not going to wait for permission. I'm just going to take that leap and try that new thing or step outside the box?
I think I've been doing that for a while now. So, for example, when I first started my job at, a cosmetic company, like I think what gave me a lot of freedom is that when I started, my manager very shortly after went on maternity leave. So I was kind of like left, up in the air. So I'm like, okay, this is my chance to decide things that I want to work on, right? And so I spent a lot of time like looking at product portfolio, what is missing. Maybe I'll work and then let me start working towards that new thing, that different thing. And many times say, okay, like I have an idea, let me test it out. Like if it doesn't work, like fine, but if it works, then I can just talk about it and try to kind of sell it to other people to get on board with what I'm doing. And it has worked for me. Like I'm doing that, advocating and showing, what you like instead of waiting for someone to, like I think I've never been that type of person that wait for someone to tell me go do this. It's like, or even if that's the case, I'll figure out how to get it done, right? Or sometimes it's like I just have an idea, I'm gonna test it out. I'm not gonna wait for like, yeah, I feel like I have a hard time just sitting there and waiting for things to happen. I go ahead and make things happen. That's like the main thing, like not waiting. Like there's really very little to lose, right? Like for you to go ahead and jump on and try something new. The worst can happen, doesn't work, and it's fine because you didn't have anything that worked to begin with, right? So it's to me, it's like there's really I just have to do it. I just have to take the opportunities and just not wait.
You have no idea how badly I needed that advice because I'm the opposite person. I tend to sit still for too long because I'm very scared. I'm scared of it not working out. But it's like, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. It wasn't working when you weren't doing it to begin with.
It's not that I'm not scared when I do it. I'm still feel scared. Even like starting my own, I was like terrified. I'm like, I have no idea if it's gonna work, if it's what's gonna happen, right? But I guess you have to like learn how to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And for me, like that's been a constant in my life, like feeling uncomfortable, feeling scared. But I still, and more than not, it always works out. So I think like if you're feeling kind of like stuck, like you don't know where to go, start small, right? Like, you don't have to go in and try aim for like this groundbreaking best biggest innovation in the world. It's too big of a leap to make you feel comfortable, right? So start small, one step at a time. Also, for me, it's like, don't be afraid of asking for help. I know that most people are willing to help. If you just talk, hey, do you have a moment? Reach out to people. People love getting, to talk to others. So, and when they can, right, when they have the ability to talk to others, hey, they have those conversations. So ask for help. Find a mentor, find someone that can guide you through that process. I think that's very important, because doing things alone makes things even scarier and tougher. And for the most part, no one has to do anything alone.
Your approach is just, you have nothing to lose. There's very little that you can get wrong in this space.
Yeah.
People love to share the information they have. Some people are experts at what they know. And it's, you're doing yourself a disservice by not sharing an information with people like that, because it is scary. It's very daunting to take on something new and take a leap and be the first.
Yeah, it is definitely scary, but I think, like, for me, like, if I had let being scared stop me, I wouldn't have done anything at all, right? Like, every single thing that I've done, because at least for me, like, I don't come from a family of like scientists that understood like how to navigate science. I don't come from a family of people that own businesses. Like, now that I have my business, all of that, like, I really didn't have like that safety net or like support. So I had to build all of that. And, one thing that I learned kind of early on in undergrad is like, people is your best resource, right? Like, knowing others, building a strong network, that is what will help you navigate your career. Experiments, polymers, materials, knowing all of that is great, but building connections with people is what really helps. And, has helped me, like right now, like, I've been rebuilding my network, meeting other people. I haven't found people that do exactly what I do, but people that are in similar situations, and we talk about, hey, how do you get clients? Hey, how do you manage this part of your business? And just having those conversations are very helpful. And that also, helpful when you're in the lab or when you're like even starting your career, because sometimes you don't know what you don't know, right? Like, understanding and getting that insight of someone that's been there before you is super valuable.
How were you able to find your mentors in your different phases of your career?
Sometimes the mentor finds you, right? Like, that's one thing. Like, you will see that there are people that, for whatever reason, like, they find some sort of connection with you and they offer the help, and that's great. That's when that happens. That's amazing, because you didn't do anything. Like, you just gain it. But then, not being afraid of asking. And, it's not like, be my mentor, but like, hey, because it's kind of weird, right? Like, it could put the people in a very weird position, right? Because, sometimes being official mentor, it comes with like, oh, we'll have to have these meetings and these things, right? But when you approach it more casually, like, hey, I seen that, you do X, Y, and Z, or I admire what you do. I would love to hear, from you now that I'm, doing something similar, or trying to understand that, and kind of starting that way, more like flexible and like not an official way, and then you gain that, that kind of mentorship. And if you have, it has to be also a kind of two-way street in a good relationship, right? It's something that cannot be forced. It's just being out there, making those connections. When you find these people that are willing to help you, like, continue, like, right? Also, like, mentor is not someone that you call, when you need a job and be like, hey, help me now, right? Like, it's that, ongoing relationship. Like, I've had a mentor since 2007, when I did my industry summer research. To this day, he's still my mentor. And so we had that relationship where, we talk about different things, and that, trying to like learn how to navigate different, even if it's just like, I'm building a business. What do you think? Oh, I don't know, but you can do it. Like that support.
Yeah.
So it's just like a matter of, I don't think there is a one way of getting like the mentors, just like, but you have to put the time and the effort on like trying to make those connections.
What do you think has been the biggest learning curve now that you've become an entrepreneur?
Initially, I was like, what was mainly holding me back is like, I never run a business. I don't even know how to start, but there's so many resources. And also there are services that you can, I don't have to become an expert on every single area of a business. I can, then hire someone or some more, company to do certain things for me, so I don't have to spend time becoming the expert on that area. So once I kind of realized that part, things started to become a lot easier, or like giving me peace of mind to continue, taking steps forward. So not letting the unknown hold you back, or the thought that you have to then now spend time becoming expert every single area of, the business. It's like, for me, it's like, I really want to focus on what my expertise is. Of course, know enough about all of the other areas, especially the areas that are important, to make sure that I'm, like legally protected, that I'm not breaking any laws, things like that. That is important. But then kind of outsourcing other parts that are kind of like busy work that don't really serve me in creating what I want to create. And also like having conversations, asking people, even like just having a conversation with someone that tells you, hey, yeah, I believe in you, or you can do it. Like at the beginning, I had a lot of like conversations with people like that. It's like, or you're never going to know if you can succeed or you're going to fail if you don't try it. So it's like just preparing yourself enough, right? Because I also don't tell people like, just, leave everything and just go and build a business, right? Prepare yourself towards that, and then get the right resources to put you in a good place, so you then focus on the important part of the business.
I think that's excellent advice. Just, taking it in stride, and if you need to outsource, or if you need to reach out to a mentor, giving yourself the permission to just ask for that help. I think that's probably the narrative of this entire podcast episode, is that it's okay to reach out to your network. And I think that's excellent advice for young people, because if you're not doing it yet, I would say definitely start attending those events, start sharing your information,
Yes.
participate in as many groups as you can, start those conversations, because as you work your way through your career, you have those touchstones to reach back to. I'm proud to announce that we've launched the Glam Chemist app. Using the app, you can send in voice, video, or text questions for the podcast, and chat and network with other listeners. The app's in beta right now, and your feedback will shape what comes next. So become a part of the experiment and visit the link in our bio today to try out the new app. I would love to ask, as a Latina scientist, and I'm assuming the first scientist in your family,
Yeah.
and an entrepreneur, and the first entrepreneur in your family, how do you see it shaping this industry of STEM? The fact that now that, more of us are getting involved and going into science and becoming independent and starting our own businesses or our own brands.
I think that there's a lot of great opportunities, like, and I'm happy to see more and more, like women and Latina women's getting involved in this industry, STEM in general, because, at least in my experience, like, it is an industry, it is a field where there are a lot of opportunities, right? From, financial advancement, travel, like, I was able to, through work, travel to places that I've never been before, and giving me opportunities to grow and become better. So I'm glad that other women are, getting into this space. And we have to also look out for each other to make sure that we're all, actually advancing, because sometimes there might be areas where we're still getting held back. But then also, we as Latino, we're very hardworking, right? Like, if anything, we're going to be improving this industry, improving this field, because we know what hard work is. We rarely give up. We keep going, right? That's the story of our lives.
Incredibly determined. Like, our
Exactly.
generations of mothers and daughters that are just incredibly determined to get, to their goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's nice to see. I think you and I both came from a time where it wasn't really the case, and I guess now with social media, it's so nice to see folks doing things, and then showcasing their work. That brings us to a lovely space. How did you decide to start promoting yourself on social media? I know that you got very involved, and
Mm-hmm.
that's how I found you online. I think I found you through LinkedIn originally. I was like following all of your posts. What made you decide to start communicating that on social media?
So I first started years ago when I was in grad school on LinkedIn, right? Because and that was kind of like the early, years of LinkedIn, where and it was like very like formal, proper that you go to LinkedIn. It's kind of like, and it was like really like the goal is you build network in order to eventually get a job, search for jobs, things like that. But then I knew the importance of communicating what you're doing, your achievements, all of that. Because, this is something that I still struggle to today. It's like, I'm the type of person like, oh yeah, I have all these accomplishments and they should speak for themselves. I shouldn't be like, I think it's also part of like the Latino like culture, right? Like we don't
It
talk
absolutely
about,
is.
right? It's
Yeah.
bragging, right? You don't talk about what you do, right? Like it's kind of like,
It's
uh,
having humility and being humble and
exactly,
like,
exactly.
yeah.
But there is a difference between being humble, bragging, and actually, hey, making sure that people know who you are, like what your value, because your expertise, your value, what you have accomplished. So I learned about that. So I said, let me start. I started posting like things about like what I, especially like when I was kind of like finishing my PhD, talking about that, and then um, for me, since I had many great mentors, I can't really mentor them back, right? So for me, like the paying that mentorship is paying it forward. So like talking about my accomplishments, um, being an example for others, like others to see me and say, hey, if she did it, she looks like me, or we're similar, right? Like I can do it too. And so it's like really serving as that example. So I started really on LinkedIn, kind of like more on for me, LinkedIn is more like professional type of situation. And then I started doing that also on Instagram, where because Instagram attracts like a little bit younger audiences, so making it kind of like the same post but a little bit more approachable with music and things like that. But again, like just one is and especially now that I have my business, part of like the marketing strategy, you have to be like searchable. Like many of my clients is they just search for the type of things that I do, and they found me. And but also like through the communication on social media, allowing others to know what I've done, what is my expertise, and that kind of gives them reassurance that I can do that for them as well. So because it's not the same for me to say, oh yeah, I can help you with preparing an innovation package for you for your patent, than me saying, hey, I've done that 50 times, right? And that's why I can help you, right? I have that expertise. Or I have done invented all these formulations, I have all these expertise, than saying, hey, if you want, I can help you, right? So it's
And they
that
can
part.
see it. They can look it up. They can see your
Exactly,
engagement.
and
Yeah.
just having that out there, and making sure, like I said, service an example. For me, it's important for others to know that they can do it as well. That I would love, and I see it more and more, like more Latinas, more women posting and talking about their achievement. I love seeing that. Like that makes me very happy, and if I can just do a little bit just to contribute to that, I'm very happy.
Well, you've contributed a significant amount. I mean, you've definitely made an impression on me, and I'm sure there's a whole
Thank you.
community of young women that are also looking up to you. And now that you're, doing your own thing, I think that's something I really admire in folks. I know that this industry can be very like, um, not like pigeonholed, but you can do the same thing for a really, really long time. And choosing to make any change or pivot in any way is admirable because you leave the security of what we've already studied or what we've already learned or what you've committed a lot of years to, and then doing something on your own. Like that to me is the ultimate bravery, because we all know how hard it is to get to the places that you've found yourself. It's a lot of
Thank
work, it's
you.
a lot of research, it's a lot of years. It's not a
Yeah.
small feat to one, get a PhD, but also, the patent work that you've done, like that requires a lot of years of dedication and time.
Thank
You
you.
mentioned, of course, honestly, you're the coolest person right now.
Oh,
You're so cool.
thank
I wish I
you.
had someone like you to look up to when I was younger, because I didn't know. I didn't know that we could reach for so much. I didn't I
And
didn't
I didn't know either. It's just like a matter
Yeah,
of like, don't let anything stop you. Like for me, it's like
right.
yeah, like I'm gonna try it. If I don't like it, I find
Yeah,
something
I
else.
love what
And
you said. Even if I learn but I don't like it, I'd rather learn and know that I don't like
yeah,
it.
yeah,
I've
exactly.
never thought of it that way. It's like,
Yeah,
at least try it. It's like trying new foods. Like, you don't know you don't like new foods until you try it. It's
yeah,
so funny. It's really that simple. Isn't it crazy how simple it
yeah.
is? And we get in our own little, like,
Exactly.
heads
We
about
just get
stuff.
exactly. We get in our own heads, and we think it doesn't like I talk a lot about my achievement, my success, but it's not like everything was like beautiful, and I didn't have any setbacks. Of course, like it hasn't been easy. So if what I always tell people is like, yeah, if it's hard, it's to keep going. Like it has been very hard for me, and you just I keep going. But it's also like the with social media, like everyone talks about like the good stuff, right? Like there's very little on like, oh, yeah, it was really tough, like for me to get to where I am today. For example, for me to have the confidence to have my own business, I had to go through, 12 plus years of working in the industry to build up my expertise, build my confidence, and say, okay, now I'm ready. So it wasn't like I woke up one day and it's like, okay, sure, let's just try it. It's just like going through all of that process, years of like learning and pains and all of that to get to where I am today.
No, totally. And I don't think people who are outside of our industry realize how much work it actually takes to be a part of STEM. I think we know we put it on a lovely pedestal and we say, scientists, technology, engineering, and mathematics, that's amazing. Definitely pursue those careers. But they don't realize how much work it takes to actually pursue those
Mm,
avenues. Because it's a lot of dedication and it's a lot of
yeah.
time. You mentioned also protecting your time and energy. How do you make time to kind of refuel in everything that you're doing and making sure that, like, you're okay?
Yeah. So this is something that I've been kind of learning and being intentional about it fairly recently in the last couple of years, because I used to be like, always go work, 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 busy, 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 like nonstop, and that you can do that for so long, right? Like some point that catches up to you. But for me now, it's like making sure that I do the work that I need to do. I always try to do the best that I can do for my clients because I take a lot of pride on that. But at the same time, not letting work be everything that I do or everything that defines me, and finding other things to also like kind of complement my life and take, because for me, like when I'm the most like inspired and I can answer questions and come up with ideas and all that, is when I take time off and come back, right? If I'm just in that circle, at some points I just can't see anything else. It just gets very like foggy. So once I take step away and then come back, it's, oh, now I see it, now I figure it out, right? So finding other things to do, like I in the last couple of years, I started playing tennis, and I've been, doing a lot of that, spending a lot of time, improving. And also, like, the reason why I never played before is because I was like, oh, I never play, I'm not good. I don't want to be embarrassed going to, tennis courts and hitting the ball. But, I took classes, lessons, and, okay, I can. And then practice make perfect, right? It's like kind of like getting that expertise through like actually doing something. And now I feel very comfortable, I'm playing games. So yeah, maybe I lose, but it's fun and I actually enjoy it. And that takes my mind away from just being focused on the science and the business. I go biking. That's also like it for me, like also trying to balance like I think like physical health and mental health kind of like go together. The things that help me stay like physically fit, it helps also mentally, because I also like challenges, right? Like if I'm biking uphill, it's like, okay, I don't want to give up, right? It's again like the same mentality. And also taking time to be with family, that's important to me. Like making sure that I have the flexibility to be there for my family when they need me, or when we just want to be together. And also dedicating time for the outreach and those opportunities of like continue to give back, and that all together then makes it kind of like a whole piece.
Yeah, it balances itself out. Like,
Exactly.
doing the hard work balanced by, like, doing the fun things that
Exactly.
refuel. Yeah, I think that's an amazing approach. I think finding time for all of those things is what's the important part when you do choose to be an entrepreneur, is that you could end up again doing a lot by mistake and find out very quickly how difficult it can get. But making time for networking, making time for family, making time for
Yes.
yourself is really, really important. Um, I just have a few more questions and we're all set. This has been a lot of
Okay.
fun. I really appreciate your time and your advice is so sound and I really needed to hear this today. I don't
No.
think you understand. Um, I just have a few questions I ask everyone. One of them is, what piece of advice would you give your younger self, knowing what you know now?
This is a really good question. Maybe like don't try to like let go of trying to be perfect and perfectionism. Like not like your definition of perfect is not the same definition that most people have. And by doing like putting less pressure on yourself, you will still be okay. You will still have the same accomplishments. Like you don't have to like beat yourself up over like so many like little things. Like
Yeah.
everything will work out.
Oddly enough, that seems to be a common thread, like common trend when I ask that question. I think
Mm-hmm.
all of us are very high achievers, which is why we do what we
Yes.
do now. But the pressure we place on ourselves, like if I could give my little self a little shake or a hug and be
Yeah.
like, girl, it's okay. Like you can calm down. It's gonna happen anyway.
Yeah.
Like you'll be fine. But it is a common thread. I think we all had a really hard time defining what doing something right and doing something like perfectly right every time felt like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just a testament to how rigorous this career is. And we didn't choose an easy job, like we really did aspire to be something different, and being part of innovation and being part of science requires a lot of energy mentally, but also
Yeah.
like it does require a lot of mental energy. You're constantly learning, you're constantly researching, and yes, that's what we love.
Yeah.
We love to learn, but there's a little bit of pressure there when you place it on yourself, which the reality is science is slow. We're allowed to take our time.
Yes.
Science is
Yeah.
very, very slow. It's supposed to be methodical, it's supposed to be thoughtful. We're supposed to take our time with it, but when we were younger, we just didn't know how to do that yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like that's the thing. Like taking like it's okay to like take time, one step at a time, make sure that you do all of that, you don't miss any of the steps, rather to try to like rush or um like I don't know, like there has to be a balance. You can't just be in one extreme or the other. Like it's not about like not doing anything and procrastinating, forever, or like going so extreme that then it has to be right, like kind of in the middle.
Yeah, it can't be all or nothing. Yeah.
Hmm.
And my last question is, what's the next thing for your platform?
So that's very interesting because like I've been trying like different approaches, right? Like, just testing things out and see what works, what doesn't work. I think like right now I have kind of like a good rhythm of, a mix of like talking about experiences, right? Like again, like kind of talk about what I've done to, just highlight the expertise. Then things that are a little bit more business related, like the services or things that are happening like in the business. Although like I keep confidentiality, at the heart of my business. So there's, just kind of more general things. And also like kind of like looking back as well, like not just the kind of things that happened many years ago and highlighting those as well, um, from like good things, successes and things like failures as well, to um, kind of paint a clearer picture of like, yeah, like, this is where I am today, but this is how I got here. It wasn't easy. It had all these, steps to like that I had to go through, and kind of combining all of that, because to me, it's like, it's not just about trying to get clients, through all of the information, but also inspiring others to either do the same, do something similar, or like feel reassured that what they're doing is the right thing.
I appreciate the honesty too. I think we don't speak enough, or at least I hope that this platform is part of that, but we don't speak enough about, how we got there. I think the journey is definitely something that people don't get to see. Like you said, social media tends to highlight the high points. And, when you talk about your resume and you talk about yourself, you only really reference the big, wonderful moments. But I think if we start to be honest and vulnerable, that's where you really build community, is when you're really telling the truth of like, yeah, I did it, but let me tell you how many times it didn't work out
Yeah.
before I did it, and I think people resonate with that more because there is something to learn in the little failures and the little didn't
Oh,
happens. Yeah.
I learn a lot more from the failures than I do from the actual successes.
Yeah. That's 100% the truth. Yeah. Well, this has been wonderful. This has been incredible. I
Oh,
really
I
enjoyed our time
loved it.
together. I would actually love to, if you do have the time, maybe sometime next
Mhm.
month, do a full Spanish episode.
Ooh,
That way we
yes,
can
por
get the
favor.
two communities. Yeah, because
Yes,
I have
let's
a
do
couple
it.
of ladies that I think it would be fun if we did a panel in Spanish, but I would love to do a panel like that because it builds another community that,
Oh
folks can
yeah,
listen
definitely.
to the audio.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So that would be great. That's coming up, folks. She said yes. We're gonna figure it out. Tell the folks how we can find you on social media, on your website. Where can we find you?
So my consulting business name is RRM, which are my initials, Inventive Solutions Hub. And I use that name on, my page on LinkedIn and Instagram. My Instagram handle is Lin, Lin underscore Romel, Romel. And on LinkedIn, through my name, Roselin Rosario-Meléndez, feel free to connect. I love connecting with people on LinkedIn, and that's kind of like my main platform for talking everything that I do. So anyone requests with a message or not, I always try to accept and kind of reach out and have some sort of conversation. I'll be happy to connect with some of the listeners and continue the conversation as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I'm really excited about everything that's going to happen next, and I'm really excited to hear about what happens with your business. Thank you
Thank
so much
you.
for being a part of it.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. I really enjoyed this conversation. I loved it.
I'm proud to announce that you can find the Glam Chemist Podcast on any platform that shares podcasts. You can also find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Lemonade. Be sure to follow our content so that you know who our new guests might be every week. Also use that platform to ask any questions or suggest anyone that you would like to participate in the podcast. This entire platform is for you. We will work together to build this community, and my goal is to share all the information you might need. So feel free to ask. I'll do my best to speak to those folks so that we can all share in the conversation. New episodes will be released every Wednesday. You'll hear some familiar voices and find some new ones. The Glam Chemist Podcast is a Hija de Lolitas production. The episode's jingle was created by Producer AI. Recording and editing is done by your host, Genesis Velasquez.